Look at me. I don't think that my life's going to take some sudden upswing into fame and fortune.
That's on the house.
What if one pill could give you everything?
I learned to play the piano in 3 days. I now had cultural appetites.
Since when do you speak Italian?
But on March 18th, one person
You have not earned those powers.
can take it all away.
There's no scenario in which you'd lead this life where you don't work for me.
I see 50 scenarios. That's what it does. Puts me 50 moves ahead of you. What would you do?
Limitless, rated PG-13.
Oh, you mean talk, Jeremy? I wasn't really ready. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, Nam, are we never ready? We're never ready.
We're never ready.
We kind of just go with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just kind of go with the flow. I'll tell you one thing, though. I was playing Drake's Fortune yesterday.
That's the series I'm going to redo because I bought the fourth one.
So
I want to start from 2 and go on. I don't want to play 1.
You have to go back to play 1.
I don't want to play 1.
That's how you work.
I don't like 1.
That is how it works.
You can for people.
Why is it that you don't like 1?
Just the gameplay's kind of too stiff, and it feels like that there was a lot of stuff that could have been fixed that 2 did. So I'd rather just play 2 and just go on. People should start with 2 and just move on. You don't need to play the first one. It's his own story.
I see.
But 2 and 3 and 4 all connect better than 1 does.
By the way, this is When Jeremy Meets Nam.
Hi.
Watch Insert Movie Podcast.
When an Uncharted movie comes out, then we'll come back, wrap this all around in a bow.
Yeah, we'll wrap this in a bow. I was playing number 2, and I was stuck in a particular part where, you know, like there's like kind of like the Buddha looking statue.
Yes.
And the dagger. I was telling you about it before. Mm-hmm. And so I finally figured it out because
and it was simple and you felt silly.
It was simple because it was really annoying though because I knew it had something to do with climbing. Like it had to do something with climbing. At first I was sitting there shooting containers, hoping that it would just create.
Oh, I thought maybe you used that to kind of that was your thinking.
No,
tool,
no,
to
I was
shoot things
I was
until
just
you
I was just shooting containers because I was like, maybe the arm will move if I shoot this container.
Have you ever done that before? Like in a game, like if you're trying to think of something, you just do something random until something clicks. You're like, oh, that could.
I don't know why it took me. I swear it took me like 30 minutes. One of these days, I'm gonna have to just stream myself or Twitch myself playing the game because I feel that everyone does the same things I do. As in, they take either a long time on stupid puzzles or they just die in most inopportune moments.
Oh yeah, and it's fun to watch people do the same mistakes you did, so you don't feel alone. Like jumping off a building, thinking that was the direction you're supposed to go.
Yeah. Repetitive though. That's the one thing. The one thing about this game is so repetitive. Is just it is nothing but like jumps and climbing puzzles.
I like it. It's platforming.
Many jumps and like this dude had to be Nathan Drake has to be the most fit person in the world in order to consistently climb and jump every single thing.
And you know
like
who does
every part of the movie.
You know who does that too, and they can definitely play that role?
Who?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise in every movie. Somehow he does not run out of breath. I don't understand it.
No matter what you do,
I don't
when you
understand
insert Tom Cruise, and it is a better movie.
Right. You can jump off of a building, climb on a helicopter, fall from 1,000 feet, do a drop and roll, and not waste a breath, and not die either.
Yeah.
We thought about that.
But he has to. But you're just like this dude has to be in perfect shape, or else like you would just die. Or
we got to do the best of Tom Cruise stuff.
Like we'll have to talk about Tom Cruise movies at some point.
Yeah.
Even though I loathe the idea of talking about Tom Cruise and just movies in general.
We should do a podcast like Tom Cruise. Just do it.
My God! But I tell you what, though, to be in such physical shape, though, to be able to climb just consistently, because dude, let me tell you what, I climbed like three, not even a mile of stairs, and I get tired.
And you know it's funny
and just
because
walking.
Drake looks he acts tired. He's like he goes like through the struggle, but he still has the strength to keep going.
He's got to have some sort of adrenaline rush. At some point
to.
down the line, whenever it just like dies down, he's got to have the worst crash in the world.
Yes.
The worst crash in the world.
Right.
But in order to be just Nathan Drake, you would think to yourself like he has to have his peak ability, the peak body ability, which kind of suits into the movie that we're going to talk about here, is that your 2010 selection, which is Limitless with Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
Tell me why you chose this movie.
Okay, so I am a big fan, and you probably know me, or for listeners, they're going to find out I'm a big fan of movies of people that started from the bottom, they go from the top, and then it all collapses on them. You've seen that in like...
But that's not how the song goes. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, that's true.
Then we fall back down. No, that's not how the song goes, Jeremy.
But Leonardo DiCaprio does it all the time. That's what he does. He starts from the bottom, he gets this great opportunity, and then something happens and he messes up. And I've always been a fan of those movies, and this is one of them. You've seen it in, Catch Me If You Can, Wolf of Wall Street.
It's funny that you talk about Leo DiCaprio, because the first thing I think of Leo DiCaprio when you mention I'm like Titanic. The reason why he went back down and died was because Kate Winslet wouldn't move over.
True.
She wouldn't scoot over.
True.
She just let him die.
Just true.
Started from the bottom, now we here, then we die.
Yeah.
Because a fat girl won't move over.
But
sorry, go ahead.
But no, this is another one of those things where you have a guy that doesn't know.
Kate Winslet's beautiful, by the way.
Bradley Cooper plays a character where he's this person that doesn't think he can get his career on the road or anything like that. He gets given this pill that we've seen in the trailer that gives him super high sense to open all the hatches in his brain. It's like Lucy, but the male edition.
It basically is Lucy. It is more or less just Lucy.
Yeah.
It's the ability. It's the idea that you unlock 80 more percent of your brain, or not 80, but 90% more percent of your brain.
Minus you control the world with that. So, but
Lucy is what happens when you get to 100%.
Right. And he's just it shows in the trailer that he is learning stuff so quickly, he can get stuff done faster. But then once he kind of got more exposed, people want part of that pie too. They want to know where he got that from. And so it's a little bit of two stories. One is about him from starting from the bottom and working his way up. Yeah. But I'll say he's being looked at by some organization or somebody. So the trailer. Say what?
Have you seen this movie?
I have.
Okay, cool.
I have. I own it.
All right, cool.
So I went to theaters to actually see this movie.
All right.
And like any movie that does that, like even like The Big Short or anything like that kind of stuff, I'm always intrigued.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. So I'm really curious about it. But how do you feel about what the trailer showed?
Yeah, so I hadn't seen the movie yet. I haven't seen Limitless yet. It was one of the movies that when it came out in theaters, I was interested, but I just never went. I think that was at Bradley Cooper's kind of, not really, I would say, peak Bradley Cooper, but that was just after Hangover.
I want to say it was after Hangover is where he started getting his stride.
Yeah, it was after Hangover.
Easily overlooked.
It's after Hangover where you start seeing like more of him. Just like after Avatar, you started seeing more of Sam.
Warrington, whatever. Yeah.
You started seeing more of that particular actor as someone kind of going.
Okay, he's in the Avatars.
He's in the rest of the worlds of Avatar.
Yeah.
So I was interested in seeing kind of more of Bradley Cooper, just because I think he was an interesting actor in the Hangover movie. In the Hangover movie, of course, nowadays he's just a good actor. The trailer itself was kind of cool and interesting. The only weird thing that just made me kind of dawn in my mind in the trailer was, it's just like, so why is he the only one that gets the pill?
That's what the trailer portrays, right?
Yeah.
So, but we don't know. We don't know what else happens in it. We don't, what I mean?
I get that.
Yeah.
I have to watch the movie to see more of what goes on. It's just like, why is he the only one that gets the pill? If he isn't the only one that gets the pill, there should be a lot more successful people in the world. But if there isn't a lot more successful people, then that means each time they took the pill, there's the potential of unlocking 100% of a particular person, but if a person doesn't have the potential or the floor, the ceiling, the ceiling to reach greatness, then they can only unlock themselves as mediocre, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like their max IQ for whatever reason is only like 100. They can only reach to 100 versus like 150, 160.
I also can see people looking at the trailer and looking at it as like, okay, it's a guy on his pill, but like, what is that person's goal? You know what I mean? Like, okay, like certain trailers they can show you like, oh, he wants the fame, he wants to be big, or this guy, like we don't really know what he wants to really do, and I think the trailer didn't really show like what he does. It just shows
It
him
didn't.
having fun.
I don't know if
what he
it
does.
showed his motivation. It just shows the ability of
what
not
it does.
the ability of just. It shows what its potential is.
Yeah, it feels like it's more about that pill than actual like this guy is. You're
Yeah.
more interested in the pill than
I can see where you're going with that. So for me, I'm definitely interested in wanting to see and answer some of the questions I have going into the movie. So I look forward to seeing it. It'll be definitely interesting, especially when we talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped to go right back in and rewatch it again because maybe I'll be looking at it a different way than that first time. Because when I saw it in the theaters, I was really excited about it, and there was a certain part of the movie that I think I remember I didn't like. So I'm going to see if that still sparks up, or maybe it just bypass it. So
All right, so we'll be back with you guys after our break.
hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode as part of the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other variety shows. And remember, you can find all these shows on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. All you have to do is just follow and subscribe and enjoy all our other variety shows, like the In-Game Boss podcast, When Jeremy Met Nom and Finally Do a Movie podcast, Bond Never Dies, In the Cabinet Sessions. So thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the show.
And we are back from watching Limitless with Bradley Cooper. So what are your thoughts on the movie? Was it like what you felt like back in like, college or high school?
I remember some good things, and I remember some okay things, and I remember how overused certain things were in that movie. So the good part, I love the fact that you have this person that takes this pill that opens your brain to access to everything, and I like the way they try to present that to you in a smooth way. It almost had a bit of like the smoothness of not so much Ocean 11, but the smoothness of when he narrates, you kind of seeing everything go into a transition. So like when he was starting to type, you start seeing just letters coming around him, like how it's showing you like how the brain is functioning at that moment,
how focused he is.
Yeah. Or when he's doing the working on stock to get money and stuff, you're seeing numbers on top merging with the ceiling, trying to give you kind of like they did a good job of trying to get you to understand something that maybe you don't understand. Like like I said, he's typing stuff, so they're just trying to show you this. They're trying to show you this. Talking about when he learning all this language. So when you get this pill, your brain starts opening up access to everything, and you start doing all this stuff that you normally didn't know you can do. Like you can learn a language really quick. You're more focused about everything like that. But the downside on some of it is, one, it only lasts almost like only a day, and then you're back to square one. You're back to being like a normal person. And two, you take it so many times, you'll have a big side effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't necessarily say you were back to square one, but I would say that you're like
kind of
every time you take it, you lose a little bit of yourself.
Per se.
Yeah, I think that you lose a little bit of yourself because the more you take it, the more you get sick. Even though you can wean yourself off of the medicine themselves, or the ZNT. Yeah. I think it's ZNT, right?
Yeah, ZNT
or NZT or something like that. NZT. But you lose what you used to be,
right?
Eventually,
because what it shows too is the more you take it, they were at a point where like if you don't stop taking it, something bad will happen. If you keep taking it, something will happen, right? Because like they said, you need to keep going, because the moment you stop, your body can shut down, you can get sick, you could probably die. Yeah. But at the same time, if you do keep taking it, you're basically seeing your life go past you and super quick. Like you'll take it so much, and then the next moment,
blackouts.
You'll have blackouts, and 20 hours have passed, and you don't remember anything you did, which I liked. I like that concept of that's a heavy consequence of trying to get where you need to go, right? Now the bad part about it is, to me, is you can tell that the movie was kind of running out of steam towards the end. You can tell halfway or in the middle part. It's like, okay, I feel like you guys are kind of running out of ideas. Especially the part I think it triggered for me was the blood scene, where he is
at the end where the Russian or the basically the
money
mob guy,
money launderer. I mean, loaner that he got the money from.
The money shark.
Yeah, the shark. He ends up finding out that he's taking it, and he finds a different method how to use it to make it last longer by shooting it within his arm and his bloodstream. Yeah. So in the heat of the moment during this fight and everything, like he was about to die, and he ends up stabbing the shark while his other two goons were kind of searching his apartment for more stuff. He ends up soaking up the blood of the shark, and he endures it, which it was kind of like, it felt like it was kind of like pushing, I don't know, it felt like kind of like, I feel like you're kind of running out of like ideas right there that you have to do that. So I think that's a little bit of the downside. But what do you think?
For me, the movie it had a really awesome concept, and I think this is the reason why there's a TV show about it now. Mm-hmm. I think it had a really good concept because I think anybody really does enjoy the fact that a really, really, really smart person, then just that trope, like the really, really smart person who overtakes people who already kind of like get a shortcut in the business.
Right, because you have this guy that was like, he's not very focused, of course. Like he's in the middle at the beginning. He's in the middle of trying to write a book. His girlfriend is leaving him because she's basically the bank, supporting him. Nothing's working. Then he runs into this guy that he haven't seen in a long time. That was actually used to be his brother-in-law because he was married to a girl for only 5 minutes before they divorce.
Yeah, and
he's just basically a loser, and an opportunity came from him and went from there. So Bradley Cooper's character. All right, let me go back. Yeah, so the idea is really good. I think the execution was off. Yeah.
I think visually the movie worked. Mm-hmm. Like what you were saying, kind of the all the visuals that you saw, like mm-hmm. The Beautiful Mind kind of visuals, and then next the vertical camera views.
Yeah.
I thought all that worked well. I think Bradley Cooper himself was a very charismatic lead actor, was probably the right guy, I think, for the role. I think De Niro fell into it, worked out well too. To play that kind of like typical hard ass kind of boss kind of guy. I don't know if it was necessary.
It always feels like a mob. He always feels like a mob. Yep.
I feel they could have casted someone else, like an Alec Baldwin. I think might have suited that too.
Yeah. Alec Baldwin feels more like a businessman.
Yeah, like I had a different view of Robert De Niro's character, though I think De Niro did fine. Don't get me wrong. He's a great actor. Lindy, which was his girlfriend, Abby Cornish, she was okay.
She was the typical,
she was just kind of there. Mm-hmm. But like you, I kind of felt that, like I said, the execution bit of the actual story and everything that went around it, I felt that there was too many holes. Mm-hmm. I felt that there was too many unnecessary choices.
Yeah.
And I think they just did it it felt like they just did it he did certain things just to progress the story, and it just didn't make any sense, or it didn't really make sense to me, but it just weren't, for someone who took a pill that opened up his mind, he made some just bad life choices.
Mm-hmm. Some of them he doesn't remember.
Yeah, some of them he doesn't remember because he was he was overdosing himself with the particular with the NZT. So I think like movie is enjoyable, but there's a lot of questions that I know when we talked about the trailers that I was asking, and it does kind of answer the questions for what I'm thinking, but there's more questions I have
that
I ask about the movie now because I've seen the movie.
So the repetitive part I was mentioning earlier was the camera angles. Like when you saw the beginning of it, where he is deciding if he wants to live or die, because it's one of those movies where you're showing the middle, and we're gonna get to that middle.
Yeah,
and so. But what I liked about it was the zoom in of, it looked like you're zooming into a picture closer and closer and closer and closer.
The vertigo
basically. The problem with that to me, Nam, it was used too many times and it got old too quick.
Yeah.
It's almost that they were trying to fill in the space that we're almost running out of something, so we're going to keep doing this.
Keep going through.
Yeah, because even though he lost 18, 20 hours of his time, ends up, finding out that he killed a hooker and do all this stuff.
Yeah, which we don't really know.
Right. All that stuff there would have been interesting to see that, caught up a little bit more, because there was more to that stuff he did. He went to the party and all that, but, okay, so the most highlight that we got out of it was the hooker we saw on this TV screen during his meeting with Robert De Niro. Okay, but what about the street fight? I mean, there was a subway fight that was interesting because he brought back the memories of watching karate and all this martial arts.
That he was watching.
Yeah. But I think there was more to that we could have been shown that could have made that exciting. Keep that train going a little bit instead of just showing it and then I'm at on a bridge somewhere and don't know how I got there and everything like that.
He blacked out and things could happen.
Yeah. And it's just some of the ideas they had just kept being reused, because like you said, like we said, it ran out of steam, because there was one part where the part where he's talking to his girl, Lindy's telling her, I'm going to stop as soon as I get to this point.
Yeah.
And then he's right back at it again. Okay, so here's part two. What I'm going to do. I'm going to work my way up to this point and all this stuff. And then now we're back to square one. Okay, I'm going to stop. And it just, I don't know. It got.
Yeah, I mean, the peaks and the valleys of the movie, of his struggles, right? Because I mean, you obviously start at the lowest of low.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're saying. The next he takes the pill, and then it opens his mind. And then you start seeing him climb a little bit more, but you also see the dependency on the medicine, or on that medicine, or that pill. I keep saying medicine, but that pill. But you see his struggles with the dependency on the pills, and that part I was fine with, just kind of like the struggling of him trying to get more pills. And more pills
I
and
like
more
that
pills
too.
And stuff like that, and of course that it's so dangerous that he involves his girlfriend. And next, of course, he finds out from his ex, his on and off again girlfriend. And then next, he finds out from his
Melissa,
ex-wife. His ex-wife,
yeah.
Melissa's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
He even finds out from Melissa that she, there was a lot of troubling issues with this particular pill, and that he's got multiple people hooked. And of course, I love the idea, because I asked that question. What happens if you? Why would he be the only one? Was one of the questions I asked during the trailer talk, and he wasn't.
Right.
There was multiple people that took it, multiple people who succeeded, and it was kind of slowly put in there by her brother on occasion, that that it only expounds upon what you already know. So, or what you already know, or what you can do. So if you're a smart person, it makes you smarter, like way smarter. So if you were like a dumb person, it makes you smarter, but not like great. Which you kind of wonder too, because I was kind of curious if they just gave it to like a really dumb person, and how much of a difference it would make for that really dumb
basically
person.
A test rat. They were talking about that. They were testing it with people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Then you were kind of curious on that too. But there's a lot of, like I said, I called it a lot of ex machinas. A lot of conveniences in the movie that were written in, and I don't know, I just didn't feel they were clever.
For example?
Well, the blood thing, like you were talking about, I didn't find that to be all that clever.
Yeah.
Like that he drank the blood, and all of a sudden it just worked. It worked for him. I felt that was just too convenient for it to happen. Like, him trying to get more pills, and that he just had an ungodly supply of pills.
Yeah, he did.
I was trying to figure that out too, because I was just thinking to myself, it's like, so if he does one a day, then he only needs 365 pills to do for a year. But he's gonna run out at some point. But he wasn't just doing one; he was doing like 2, 3.
Yeah, because that's the part in the second half. That's where he was like up dosing the pills.
But for someone who's quote unquote woke, why would you not think that taking 2 or 3 pills would be bad? Why is it that you have to make that much money in such a short time? Because you have an ungodly amount of money, or not ungodly amount of money, you have an ungodly amount of pills.
I guess that's what even though like you're smart, you can't get rid of addiction. Maybe that's part in the factor of that.
I mean, I guess.
That's me foaming it in really hard, buddy.
I know. There's a lot of unanswerable questions. That's the problem that I have with this movie. There's so many things that
because you don't even know if Melissa was on that when they first met. They never talked. I think she was on it when they first met. That she was taking it at the time.
Said she only took it a couple times, and she said she only took it like a handful of times, and then she stopped.
Yeah, but it could have been the time where they first met, because apparently she was very cheery, and then she's not. It could have been that kind of concept. That's just one of the questions.
I think it was just. I think she just. Yeah, I mean that's an unanswerable question. That could possibly very well be the case. I mean, there is. So his girlfriend took the pill
because he was sick and he needed her to.
Which was a good scene, by the way.
It was a good scene.
Her running away from the what you end up finding was the mogul's bodyguard.
Yes.
Her running away from him and having to take the pill to get her escape. I thought that was a really good scene. I thought she did really well in that scene.
I do like.
I really bit into it.
I do like when they do a good job of making you know when the brain's activates by the pill, because they start going clips, like they'll go zoom into this, look at this, like, hey, he can hear this very clearly, he can hear this conversation. Now everything's clicking back, and that's what happened to her. Like she was already like 5 steps ahead of I know what I'm going to do right now, and then go with it. So that was really cool.
But she took the medicine one time, or I keep saying medicine. She took the pill one time, and then she was normal, like afterwards, which I don't. From the side effects from the particular pill, it doesn't seem like that's the way it works.
Yeah,
I think you lose focus, your brain can't function at that capacity at all times, which is what his ex said. Because you can see his ex looks like a total wreck.
Yes. Yeah.
So her just kind of coming out really healthy and normal, which just seems a little off to me. I had a really big problem with the ending. Really big problem with the ending.
It didn't make any sense to me either.
The fact that he was just like, Robert De Niro bought the pharmaceutical place that built the pills before, which makes sense. And then Bradley Cooper. Character Eddie acted like that's the group that made that
right, and this
pill.
is during the time a couple of months down the line where Eddie is now running as senator.
Yeah,
for
he's running for president. He's a senator.
Yeah,
he's running for president. He's a senator.
Which I didn't know. I was not a big fan of that big jump. I'm like, why was that jump necessary? Like,
try to tie up loose ends. That created more loose ends.
Go ahead.
So. Yeah.
Until they're having that conversation back and forth.
They have that conversation back and forth, but I was like, why didn't Eddie try to figure out who made the pills to start with?
Right, that makes sense. Like you've been through this whole thing, but you decided to get somebody else to try to mimic it instead of trying to find out who is that. You had the brains to do it. I mean, you're learning 5 freaking languages. You're telling me you couldn't find out who's behind this?
You could have you've earned enough money that you could have easily have purchased the company if you had figured it out, and then just worked out the kinks, whatever. There's that. There's the mob boss or the mob gangster guy. Here's the thing: you make a bunch of money really early, and yet you don't just pay the guy so he's off your back. Right. Like, I don't understand that.
I don't understand either.
He made like was it 400,000, 200,000 in like 4 days or something silly. and he just didn't pay off the guy.
It almost seemed like he always kept getting him after he was done with the dose, like when he's back to normal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like a convenience, but it's not even that. I was like, he could have been on the dose and just given the dude back his money. He's like, here's your money. Here's some interest on the time that I loaned it to you. We're good to go. And then you wouldn't even have that side story about him taking the pill and then eventually being one of the.
So I almost felt like that they were forcing that in instead of like let it feel like natural. Like you have to have a reason why the shark had to stay on you. Like you could have paid that off and have been done with it. So why would you keep him around? Like what's force? Yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's exactly the problems I was having with the movie. Is just like there were so many things that he could have just. Like, for someone that is so smart and so bright, and it's not because of his arrogance, it's because he's just really bright.
It would have made
he just didn't make these choices.
It would have made more sense, like, if the shark wanted to stay involved, for instance, he would follow him and notice that he does take a pill and he wants to know what that is, then that would be a different scenario instead of him accidentally, like, dropping it. You know what I mean? And so...
Yeah,
but,
I get that.
But I understand where you're coming from. But overall, to wrap this up... I still enjoy this movie because Bradley Cooper does such a good job to me that kept me hooked on more than what the real story is. But I still enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, beautiful movie as far as it's filmed. Great actor. Great. I mean, the acting was good. I believed in the acting. Story lacked. It's probably why it's a TV show. Why it probably needs to be a TV show. Yeah. And in all honesty, I wasn't a big fan of the ending or just the overall theme that you could cheat to win. But I think they could have done better on that. Yeah. 3 categories that we drew. First category is delete a scene. So I'll throw out a couple scenes, and you can tell me your own on what you thought. The action scene, I actually don't think it actually belongs there. The part where he fights like 4 or 5 people, and then
the subway scene you're mentioning.
Yeah, the subway scene that you had mentioned earlier. I don't think it belongs in the movie. There's that. There's the original chase scene where he runs away from the big mobile's bodyguard without any question. He calls on the book to try to find more people, and then the bodyguard answers the phone, and then they just start running. He runs away from him instead of just like, hey, why are you following me? And the fact that they were that close to each other, like that close, like they were on the opposite side of the benches, made no sense to me. Thought those two could have easily been deleted from this movie and made it better.
I think some extra scenes where Robert De Niro could have been cut out because Robert De Niro was just really more of a plot device to push something out. But there were some scenes where I think him and De Niro didn't need to have that much time to get the point across.
Shorten the conversation.
Yeah, like for instance, like when he came into the office. When he find out that one of his competitors that he was going to merge with died. Yeah, I don't think that scene could have been like on a phone call or something, going on to something else, and then he could have ran because at the end of that scene he ended up coming in and he ended up leaving.
Yeah,
so that scene was so like, what's the point of that conversation? He could have done that on the phone.
I think the point was is like Robert De Niro, because through his life experiences and stuff like that, he was just kind of like, there's something else that you're not telling me about. It's like, don't lie to me.
I don't know why. Why couldn't you do that on that phone?
Well, and I was trying to understand how he came up with that deduction. Like, it's like, you know something more about this. It's like and of course, Bradley Cooper was like the leak, and he's like, no, not the leak. I'm talking about, the other guy. It's like, you know more about what's going on. You need to tell me what's going on. And you're just kind of like,
It's one of those things that were trying to present itself like,
we've been
watching you, but we're not showing you that we're watching you.
Yeah, they're trying to do a subplot with the idea that, Robert De Niro's the other villain besides the guy that was chasing around. Because I guess they knew where they were going with that particular guy that was following him around. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry. I guess you could say 3 villains, right? They had the gangster, the bodyguard, and Robert De Niro's character. So they're trying to close one door. They're working on closing one door. Then they had to keep one open so that there was more dramatic effect towards the end.
I know it's kind of weird. Maybe you'll disagree with this. I think the girlfriend scene where she took the pill and stuff, I feel like it was a fun scene, but I feel like you can do without that scene too.
next we can round back around to the action scenes, and you can tell me what you think why that needs to stay. I think the girlfriend scene actually needs to be in there, and I think there's a reasoning why is because it pushes the fact that he is so dependent on the pill that he put his girlfriend in danger.
Okay.
And the fact that she left him because she knew that he was, no matter what was going to happen, that he still was going to choose the pill over like even though he had put her in superbly dangerous.
I guess that's true.
He feels feels that he has to take that pill to keep everyone protected, and that he's still going to choose continuing to take that pill. And in the end, he says he's not on the pill, that makes no sense. Because if Robert De Niro just shut one of your factories down or your labs down like that morning, and you hadn't been on the pill, then why have that lab still make more or whatever? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Action scene. I said the action scene. Do you have any feelings on why that needs to stay?
Action, like all action scenes?
No. The subway fight scene.
Because I think that scene should stay only because the fact that this is the first time we actually get to see a little snippet of what the brain can do as far as going back to what he remembers to be ready for that scenario. And I like that scene because I think that was the final unlock of the brain that we haven't seen him do yet. We've seen him go forward with the brain, like his learning experience, but we haven't seen how far back he can remember, other than when he was talking to the girl in an apartment that
the landlord,
owes money, that he
wife.
Remembers like a particular thing when he was like 8 years old at a dentist's office waiting for his mom or something like. And I feel like that scene was interesting because we got to see his brain is so open that he can click and learn something in a fight. And I thought that was really cool to show that the pill can activate that. So I feel like that scene was necessary.
I felt that way. It was cool until he got into the fight with the mobsters.
Okay.
And then the mobster was basically holding him down. Then he sticks the scrubby into like the dude's throat.
You're talking about the in an apartment, right?
Yeah, in the apartment.
That part, I give you that, but the martial art part, I thought that was.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like the martial art parts should build you up to something he'd be able to do to defend himself in that particular point, which he doesn't. Like he grabs a thing, and instead of like jabbing his thumbs in somebody's eyes or in the mouth or anything that he might have watched or learned in a situation before, none of that activated. I guess you could. Oh no, he had drank the blood after that, or he had drank the blood. The dude's blood, so he was already woke. He was already in beast mode, so he should have been able to figure that stuff out to fight his way out. So, like, the action scene going into that makes no sense.
I guess if you look at the other scenes, he never dealt with someone with guns per se.
Well, the dude was just
even
no.
The only reason I said that because like the time when he lost all his memory and it was zooming in. There was a guy walking towards him with a gun. If you go back and watch all the zoom in, there was a guy that he was working with a gun. And,
within the 18 hours.
Yeah. And, that should... See, that's why that scene, to me, with the zoom in, I wish I learned a little bit more about, because that would make more sense of this part here. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, your skills there should have been integrated into this particular scene. It should have been directed better for that scene. Because of the 18 hour we lost, yes, we don't know what you did, but we don't know what else you learned at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. It's like you would have learned more, not less. Like you would have learned more to protect yourself, not less than to get caught in
So they were
situation.
trying to rely too much on he's panicking.
Yeah. So I think they got rid of the action scene and just kind of like snippets, kind of like what you said, the dude with the gun, and made it more of a mystery. Like, we don't know what happened. He doesn't know what happened. We don't really know what happened. We saw little snippets, but that's it.
See, that would have been more intriguing of the story. Like 18 hours. Now everything's catching up with him, and him trying to figure out all that crap he did in 18 hours.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
So like I'm fine with that. And like of course I said the chase scene, like the original chase scene from where he gets where he calls on the phone on the book, and then the bodyguard just chases him.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was so unnecessary. Like, if the dude is that close to you, why don't you be like, so why are you following me? Da 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 da. And if he pulls out a knife, then run. But there was no reason for him to just bolt.
Right.
So I thought either one of those two scenes could have been taken
Okay.
Would this been better in black and white?
No.
Was the other character? Yeah.
No,
not at all.
The only reason why is because when you're taking the pill, they're trying to show you another kind of like another reality showing, right?
Yeah.
Right, you can't do that in black and white with the way they portray this because you need the colors, you need to see the eyes, you need to see all this stuff, and you can't. This movie particularly wouldn't work in black and white. You wouldn't see that transition of him when he's activated and all that.
Yeah, because they went from kind of a dreary coloring into the light colorings once he took the NZT.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 110%. There's nothing about this particular movie that would work in black and white. If you were to do it differently, you can probably still do the Beautiful Mind kind of like picturing, but you would have to do something else to let people know that he has mentally like clear.
Right.
So agree. Last one is where would a great explosion take place in this movie? Where would great explosions take?
In the
like
18 like in the 18 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to tell the scene.
Okay, so as you know, we talked about the 18 hours law. So when he takes this, so what happens is after he gives the opportunity to Robert De Niro, they drop him off back to his place, and he's like, you know what? I don't feel like going home. I feel like just walking. So he starts walking, and then an hour passed. He's doing this. 2 hours passed. He did this. Then 10 hours passed, and all this time you're getting the famous zoom that you saw at the very beginning, the vertigo.
Yeah.
Him zooming in, and you're seeing him. He apparently. I want to say, now was he with her when he was with the prostitute?
Yeah,
like, with the girl. So he basically cheated on her. Anyways, so he's like with a prostitute. He's you see him in an alley with a guy with a gun. He's the fight with in the subway. He's going to all these parties, dancing. He's like. He was in a gunfight, then he hops and he loses hours, and he's in this club dancing with a black chick. It's in the hip hop. All this stuff happens. An explosion could have been somewhere in there, and we could have just bypassed it like it's nothing.
Yeah,
that'd have been a perfect place because that would have been a great build up. And then I think the generic answer would be when they were trying to blow up the door of his home. I feel like that's the generic answer.
That was exactly what I was thinking too. It was just like the I was all right. So the most practical thing that I would say to use explosion is to try to get into like the 1 foot thick inch like steel wall door that he's got going, which they got in easier than you would take a lightsaber to cut the door. Right. And I was like, what? Okay. Well, suspension of disbelief or belief. So we're gonna go with that. Here's my choice, and it changes the complete mood of the entire movie. Can you guess?
Would it be jumping off that building and then the explosion?
Grenade jump!
Right.
He uses a grenade jump to get from one building to another. No, actually, it's as corny as I said. You should see explosions and fireworks after at the end of every sex scene in that movie.
Okay.
So he's just doing his thing, da 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 da, and then boom, Yahtzee.
like just something random in the room exploding.
Yeah,
okay.
Just
almost like the Aquatine.
A bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne just pops, or an explosion. Or
basically, are you using that as a metaphor? Of
yes.
He just did it. Okay, jeez.
Or he can finish having sex with him. He leaves and then the room blows up. Because whatever medicine that he took mixes with his genetics and then shoots into her, and then it becomes a bomb and she blows up.
See, that would have worked after the 18 hours. We see an explosion, and then you see like
that's how the prostitute. That's how the prostitute died.
There you go.
That's how the prostitute is like, oh my god, did I wear a condom when I saw
right?
Or did I just stick a grenade in her? Oh my god, I don't know what happened.
Right.
It's a whole hangover moment. That's exactly what it was.
I swear, I think the 18 hours was more interesting to find out what he did in those 8 hours than what that ending was doing.
All right. Okay. Let's get to what we felt about it based on our favorite website, the Rotten Tomatoes, which is not our favorite website, but we like to use it because everybody likes to use it. But Rotten Tomatoes give it a fresh tomato score as far as the critics gave it a 69 out of 195 reviews, and 100,000 plus reviews. Audience gave it a 74%. Which way do you lean?
You can tell the 74% is for people that are in their mindset of, I never seen a movie like this before, so it's interesting. But
it is interesting.
It is interesting.
Like you had to close. You really had to close your mind off to just enjoy it. Though.
Yeah. And the 69 is more of the questioning. That's where it comes from.
Like it's great. It has so much potential, but it didn't hit the potential it needed to.
Right. For that, I'm gonna go ahead and swing the 74 for me because even though it did have some holes and did question about it, is a movie that I did enjoy just sitting through and just watching. Like you said, you kind of need to turn off your brain and just enjoy for what it is. So I'm a 74. I actually still kind of enjoy it for what it does because regardless of the situation, I like the first half a lot compared to the second half, and I can sit and watch that first half again, just seeing that build up again because I feel like I could always find something new with that every time. And so I'm a 74 on this one.
Okay. The one thing I forgot to mention, Bradley Cooper.
And that's part of my hook.
Bradley Cooper, them trying to make him look like the just homeless, beat down, whatever.
He's such a likable guy. It's hard to believe he's like you don't have no money.
The problem. That's the problem.
You don't have no money. How do you not have no money?
It's not the no money bit. It's just I don't think they can dumb him down where they can. It seems like they could do it with like other players, people. I just don't feel like the same.
Does he
way.
look like you don't look like a guy that would ever be poor,
or not even poor, but he would. I don't think he would. He doesn't look like a guy that would ever look like that consistently.
Okay.
I think he'd be more well kept. Like I feel like the whole long hair and whatever just doesn't work, and the fact that I just don't feel like that works, it kind of leans where I was thinking of in this movie, which is a critic 69. Mm-hmm. Because I think the idea is wonderful. I think it was well filmed as far as like the visuals is concerned. The actors, Bradley Cooper and everybody will hook you into it, but there was more questions than there was answers.
Yeah,
and I think they tried some things. They tried to put some things. Like at times, I felt like there was a bunch of start and stops through the movie. Like I felt the same way you do. I enjoyed the beginning where he's building up, but the tail end just kind of slows down. The next, of course, the random action scene that you throw into the middle where it's kind of karate kung fu just didn't. It just threw the pacing in the start and go. It just had a start and go pacing to me, and I didn't like it. But I think I need to watch the TV show because I heard it was probably better.
Right. No, I agree with that. But the 74 still for me was, even though they had some flaws, this might be a guilty pleasure. Like I said, I'm a sucker. Fine. I'm a sucker for movies where you start from the bottom, work your way to the top. And then something bad happens, you fall off. They still did that. They still did that formula well. It's just that, like you said, the execution didn't fulfill. You would walk when you finish watching this movie, you're still hungry.
Yeah, if it didn't take itself,
still be hungry.
If it didn't take itself, I feel like if it was a little bit lighter, and I think it tried to be a little bit more serious than it needed to be. So
that's the end of our episode. But don't forget, this is part of the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other variety shows, just like an In-Game Boss podcast, a show that I do personally with new guests, and we got new updates. And by the time you listen to this, we are in our season 3 of it. And don't forget that you can listen to our shows on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and, of course, Podbean. So definitely look that up. And we're also going to be on other stuff. So keep an eye out for that. You have any other questions or anything, you can always email me personally at the ingameoffice@gmail.com. But don't forget, we're on Facebook and Twitter, so make sure you look us up there as the In-Game Boss Program. Type that whole thing out. Or you can find me on Twitter as RetroAmp07, and you can find more information on that. And, of course, you can find Nam at...
You can find me on the Twitter at the KN Train.
And if you like what you hear, don't forget to follow and subscribe. Leave a 5-star rating until we're doing a good job. Tell us movies you like to see. Are you a Limitless fan? Are you a Bradley Cooper fan? Do you think Nam is off his pills and he needs to take more pills and relook at this movie? Should I stop taking the pill? So, are you with the critics? Or are you with the viewers? So definitely let us know. Nam, anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
Please download. You don't have to listen. Please download though.
There you go. And we will catch you on our next episode. So if you took the pill, what do you think is the first thing that you would use your abilities on?
I'd find out if the large intestine was really 20 feet long or 20 miles long.
You know what I would do?
Filet. It's such a wonderful word.
You know what I would do? I would not go on that other trip, but I feel like that's an unnecessary scene where he goes on that boat trip and
you know what I would do? I would go on Jeopardy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, just like Rosie Perez and White Man Can't Jump.